The whole global economy seems to be walking on a tightrope right now. Growth is stalling, debt is piling up, and honestly, the future feels pretty uncertain. But what if the fix for a 21st century crisis is hiding inside a 20th century alliance? Today, we're going to look at how the Commonwealth is using its shared history to build a pretty radical new economic future.
This quote from the Commonwealth Secretary General really gets to the heart of it. This isn't about just battening down the hatches and waiting for the storm to blow over. Nope, it's about seeing this crisis as a trigger, a real chance to rethink the old rules and build something even stronger.
So here's the big idea we're unpacking. The global economy is under some serious pressure. And in the middle of all that, this huge group of nations, the Commonwealth, is saying, hey, our shared history, it's not just some dusty old relic. It's actually a powerful economic tool for right now. So let's dig into what that really means. All right, so to really get their solution, we first need to get a handle on the problem itself. What exactly is this global storm that everyone keeps talking about? Yeah, this is not just some little dip in the market. As the Secretary General said, the pressure is truly historic. And for a lot of smaller nations, this isn't just about spreadsheets and stock prices. It's about survival. We're talking about decades of hard-won progress that could just get wiped out. And you see, these things aren't happening in a vacuum. They're all connected, creating this nasty cycle. When growth stalls out, it's way harder to pay down debt. Then trade gets more tense and closed off. Money for development dries up. And hanging over all of it, you have the climate crisis, which just makes every single one of those other problems that much worse. So who's stepping up with a potential way out of this mess? Well, it's not some new G7 plan or a big idea out of Silicon Valley. It's the Commonwealth, an organization that, let's be honest, a lot of people might think of as a historical footnote, but it's operating on a massive global scale. 2.7 billion people. Just let that number sink in for a second. That is more than the entire population of North and South America combined. This is not some small exclusive club. It's a network that literally covers a third of the human race on every inhabited continent. But here's the thing. It's the mix of these nations that's so important. The Commonwealth isn't just one type of country. It has advanced economies, sure, but also fast-growing emerging markets and, this is crucial, many of the world's smallest and most vulnerable states. That incredible diversity, that's the secret sauce for their whole strategy.
Okay, so how does having this unique mix of countries actually turn into a real-world edge? Well, the Commonwealth says it gives them a kind of secret weapon for building economic strength, something they've dubbed the Commonwealth Advantage.
So what is it? Well, the advantage is basically this idea that their deep, shared roots, their history, creates real, measurable economic benefits today. This isn't about being nostalgic. It's about treating that shared past as a powerful, strategic asset you can use in the 21st century. And it's all built on three super practical things. I mean, think about it. If two countries speak the same language and they have similar legal systems for things like contracts, suddenly the time, the cost, and the risk of doing business together just plummets. It's all about cutting out the friction that slows things down and creating this built-in foundation of trust. And here it is. Here's the payoff. You add up all that shared history, that shared language, those similar legal systems, and you get this. On average, it is 21% cheaper to trade between two Commonwealth countries. That is a huge, concrete benefit in a world where every little bit counts. It's a massive incentive to work together instead of going it alone. Okay, so it's one thing to have this advantage, right? But how do you actually put it to work? Well, the Commonwealth has a pretty clear plan to turn this natural benefit into a very deliberate strategy for economic resilience. And this strategy isn't just a vague idea, it's a real three-part plan. First, they're going to use their own diverse membership to basically be a living example of how to build economic resilience. Second, they're going to create brand new financial tools for today's problems. And third, they'll use their combined influence to push for a fair global system for everybody. Now that second point, pioneering new financial tools. That's where things get really, really interesting. This isn't about just making little tweaks to the old systems. We're talking about inventing completely new ways of thinking about finance for the challenges we face right now. Take blue bonds, for example. The Commonwealth has been a huge champion of these. They're designed to raise money specifically for projects that protect our oceans. And for a group that includes so many island nations, that is absolutely critical. They're also big on catastrophe bonds. Now, these are financial tools designed to release money the second a natural disaster strikes. For a network that has so many countries on the front lines of climate change, this is a total game changer.
And then you have something like the Meridian system. This is a super practical software tool that's already being used in 41 countries to help them manage their national debt better. It directly tackles one of those big economic headwinds we talked about at the very beginning. So what the Commonwealth is really doing here is laying out a fundamental choice. You can go down the path of isolation, which they say just leads to slower growth and a lot more risk. Or you can choose their path of cooperation, which they argue is where you find real opportunity and build real, lasting resilience.
So where does that path of cooperation actually lead? Well, the Commonwealth has gone ahead and put a dollar figure on what's at stake if they can really harness this unique advantage of theirs. $2 trillion. That's the projection for the value of trade just inside the Commonwealth by 2030, if they get this right. It is a mind-boggling amount of money, and it just shows you the sheer scale of the economic prize they're playing for. But it's not just about the staggering numbers. The ultimate goal here is about people. It's about creating a system where the smallest, most vulnerable nations aren't just reacting to what the global economy does to them, but are actually at the center of it, helping to shape it and getting their fair share of the prosperity. And that really leaves us with this final question. You look around and it feels like the world is fracturing, breaking apart along new lines. And in the middle of all that, the Commonwealth is making a huge bet that the ties of a shared history can be used to build a genuinely shared and much more prosperous future. Can they pull it off? Well, that is the $2 trillion question.